our next ready for fretboards, this Explorer and this Thunderbird. I already have the fretboards made for the Explorer, and this is Wingay. I would have pronounced it Winge if I hadn't learned from somebody else that it's pronounced Wingay. Now this is the piece of Wingay that I bought at the lumber store that these were made out of. To make this fretboard, I first cut it to length, sliced it on the bandsaw, and ran it through the thickness sander until I got it to 1/4 of an inch. I had bought a pre-slotted fretboard, so I took it and with double-sided tape, attached it to a piece of MDF, and I placed it in my fretboard sliding miter box. I've made a video previously about making and using this miter box to make the templates, so I'll put a link to that video in the description below. To make the fretboard for this Thunderbird neck, I was going to do like I'd done in the past, buy a pre-slotted fretboard, make a template, and that way I could keep making the fretboards over and over. But I had trouble finding one that was pre-slotted, at least one that wasn't what I thought was too expensive. So I ended up taking the neck that came off of the Thunderbird base and just hand copying it. I'll show you. Okay, this is my fret sliding miter box. I've got this piece of metal that runs down the middle. You'll see what that's for. But anyway, I'm pulling that out. And I'm going to put the template material in. I'm going to go up a couple inches and lock it down. I'm going to saw a slot with the fret sliding saw that I got from StewMac. I'm going to pull it out, put the metal slot back in. With the metal guide that will match up to this slot, I'm going to turn this over, put it on that slot, lock her down, and saw a slot on the opposite side. To make sure it's at a 90-degree angle, I'm going to bring it over to one side, put the screwdrivers in to wedge it over, and saw that slot. Now I've got a slot that's the same on both sides, straight across from each other. My next step is to take this known neck that I've got that's 34-inch scale. I've taken my template that I'm going to make and put the metal on it. I'm going to slide that nut slot right up against that metal, laying on this, and I'm going to make sure it's all center. I'm going to clamp it down so it don't move. I've got where the nut goes slid up against the guide, and all these frets are face down against the template. I'm going to hand mark those in the center with a pencil. I've got this angle at the center of the fret, and I mark it, and I move it down to the next one, do the same. I've checked and double checked. After visually marking the template with a known base neck, I take a 4-inch razor blade, which is really straight, drop it in that groove, and line it up to the visual marks that I made. Pull it over to the straight side and clamp it down. This piece of Chechen that I'm going to use for the fretboard came kind of rough cut, and thicker than I need, so I'm going to run it through the thickness sander. I've got the Chechen fretboard sanded, cut the size, squared on the ends, and here's the 34-inch fret scale for the base. This will be the nut face right here, but this will go upside down. This is the slot for the nut face. I'll put double-sided tape on here and put the fretboard on just like this. It'll be ready to put into the miter box. Fretboard is attached to the template. Grooves will ride on this metal guide right here in the middle. Slide it in to the first fret location. Drops right in. Clamp it down. Let's saw the fret. A little bit of double-sided tape goes a long way, so be careful. The new fretboard matched up to the fretboard I copied. I've got the fretboard clamped down where I want it, and I'm going to drill a hole that's the same size as this. It's actually the dots for the side of the fretboard, but it's 5/64, and I'm going to drill a hole just off to the side of the truss rod at the first fret, one at the 12th fret, about a 1/2 inch deep, a little less, as guideposts to make sure this goes back in the same position. Here's my holes. I only need that to stick up about a 1/16 of an inch. There we go. Before I glue the fretboards on, I'm going to turn it over, mark the sides, and trim the excess on the bandsaw before gluing. We'll put this flashlight on it so I can see the pencil line a little better. Okay, it's time to glue on the fretboard. The locating pins are in it. I've got the truss rod in it. Put the tape over the truss rod so that the glue doesn't get down in that location. Got the glue brush. I'm ready to apply the glue. I don't want to put too much on, but I want it to ooze out a little bit. Put just a hair more. After you've got the glue properly spread, don't forget to remove the tape. Do exactly the same thing on the Thunderbird neck. Here we go. I've got my best router bit in here. This fretboard overhangs the end, so I cannot go past about here, or I will remove something here I don't want to. So I'm going to start right about here. On this neck, the fretboard ends and the neck still goes on. Don't have to worry about stopping before I get to the end. These two guitar necks are moving right along. Got the truss rods in there, the fretboards attached. Now they need inlays and dots up down the side and the radius put on it. But before I can do that, I need to fix this radius sander I've built. The radius sander was built to do fender necks, which are only about 1 inch thick. Doing a 12-inch radius. So that's what this was set for. 12-inch radius, 1 inch gap right here. That's not going to work for these thicker necks. I need more adjustment in my setup. But that's for another video.